12 years ago, I regularly drank until I blacked out. 10 years ago, I was $28,000 in debt, living in a small one-bedroom apartment with cockroaches, where my kids shared a mattress on the floor in the bedroom, and I slept on the pull-out couch. 8 years ago, I tried launching a blog called Celebrate Mondays because I knew I wanted to help others. I wanted to do some kind of impactful work, and I felt inspired to talk about living life with intention because I was tired of working in office jobs where the people around me were living for the weekend, would be miserable on Monday for no other reason other than it was Monday, would say things like, Happy Friday, and celebrate Baby Friday, which is what they called Thursdays. 6 years ago, I was the director of people and culture in tech companies where I was paid really well. And I actually dug myself out of that financial hole because I had a six-figure salary and I had a director level title. And a part of that role I loved. A part of the role where I got to do coaching. But I knew that I was playing small. I knew that I was meant to do more. Anytime I paused, anytime I took a break from my inbox, anytime I took a measly 1 week vacation, it was clear to me that I was living out of fear. And the reason why that blog in the midst of all this didn't turn into anything, didn't allow me to move ahead and create the kind of outcomes I have now, because now it's ridiculous. Now, like, pinch me the kind of life I'm living now. I'm so grateful. I've worked with over 400 people in 17 different countries. I control my schedule. I'm excited by the people that I serve. I'm truly inspired by my clients. I get to spend a lot of time in my creative energy, and I'm getting paid to be myself, to live my life. The reason why that blog, Celebrate Mondays, didn't work was there's 3 reasons. The first one is I had no idea who my audience was. I didn't have any kind of niche. I didn't have any defined dream client. I didn't know who I was speaking to. So it was really hard for what I was sharing to deeply resonate with any one group. I got good feedback. People were enjoying it. I heard some things about what people liked. But it was never going to amount to anything more than that because I didn't define who I was speaking to. It was really hard for others to refer it. 2, I had no kind of offer. There was no way for people to pay me. If they liked the blog, that was it. There was nothing else. There was no offer on the back end of it. And then 3, I had no strategy. And there was no strategy to move someone from being a stranger who read my blog to engage with me in any way, to hire me in any way, even if I did have an offer. So it didn't matter that I was putting out this blog, that I was doing this work, that I was sharing these ideas, because I didn't define who my clients were. I had no kind of offer, and I had no strategy for how I was going to turn people who enjoyed the content into being clients. And I share this with you because if you are feeling called to do meaningful work, if you have some kind of a coaching business, if you're doing consulting work that makes a goddamn difference, I implore you, please get really damn clear on who you're speaking to. There's been plenty of talk. You've probably heard other people in the past talk about you need to niche, you need to niche. At this point, niching is not enough. You need to micro niche. You need to get hyper specific on who you serve. There's 8 billion people on the planet. There's 6 billion humans online. If you want you and your message, you and your offer, you and your gifts to truly stand out, you need to be really clear on who you are speaking to. There's a couple different ways you can do this. One is being a highly aligned, true, genuine version of yourself. It is a great way for you to stand out. And that means you being your fullest, truest self to the point where you know that it's going to repulse some people. It's going to push some people away. But even that is not enough because they jive with you. You're being truly fully yourself. For me, that means I'm swearing. For me, that means that I'm ranting. For me, that means that sometimes I'm dancing. Those might not be the right things for you, but there's some things like that for you. Figure out what they are. But that is not enough because, well, what problem are you helping people solve? Even if someone feels really connected to you because there's things about how you're showing up and how genuinely you're showing up and that you're standing out as a human based on who you actually are, what problem are you helping them solve? You need to get really clear on what problem you're helping them solve. And then you want to package that. What I help people do is create hell yes offers. It's an offer that when someone sees it, they say, ooh, yes, give me this, hell yes, I want it. And then once you have those things in place, how are you moving someone from being a stranger to a client? Do you have an intentional journey? For me, that's my rocket ship method. And it helps me move people from being new to your world to being excited to want to work with you. And then the last step, which I didn't even know this is a step that I was missing back then when I had that blog, but the last step is enrollment. How do you enroll clients? I don't even use the word sales because most of us, I definitely have, and maybe you have too, have experienced really terrible, impersonal, icky, pushy sales tactics. So forget sales. It's about enrollment. How are you enrolling people into what's possible? How are you enrolling people into a new world? How are you enrolling people into taking a bold step? How are you enrolling people into making a drastic change in their life to live, whether it is their health, their business, whatever you're coaching people with? You need to enroll people in that. And there's some things that I do with people when it comes to enrollment too. So I have drastically changed who I am in so many ways. I haven't had a drink at this point in over 11 years. I'm making more money than I ever have my entire life. I love my days 98% of the time. I'm by the beach right now. Maybe you can even hear the waves in the background. You can design your life, you can do work with meaning, and you can actually get paid to do it. But get really clear on who you're serving. Create a hell yes offer. Have an intentional journey to move people from being a stranger to being a client, and then figure out how you can do enrollment in a way that feels good to you so that you can have clients paying you and so that you can be proud when you're telling your friends and family not just about the impact that you're having, but the revenue that you're making too.